Hey, Resonate, Pastor Curtis here. If you were with us on Sunday or part of our online community, what a great weekend. You saw we welcomed Jolena Falkenstein as our new pastor of community care, and she shared with us. She taught and preached a great sermon on Sunday morning. And I just wanted to follow up on one thing she said, because it's so true and important theologically. It's a deeper theological point, but it's very true and also easy to miss. And I want to just take you back to it for 1 second. She was teaching in Romans 8, where Paul says, in verse 29, "For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." And I want to touch on that for a second, because if you've been around the church for even a minute, you've heard the word predestined. You may have heard the word elect, and some people interpret that to mean that God predestines only those select few, the elect, who he has selected to be followers of his. Those are going to be the only people who are going to be in heaven. Only the elect can say yes to following Jesus Christ. And I thought Jolena did a great job. She actually connected what Paul wrote in Romans 8 to something he wrote in Ephesians 1, which is exactly right. He was talking about the same thing. He was using a couple of different words to kind of explain what he was talking about, but I think Ephesians 1 does such a great job of explaining Romans 8. Look at what, and she quoted this, didn't have time to go into it obviously, but look at what Paul wrote in Ephesians 1, chapter 4. It says, now, and pay attention to what Paul is saying here very closely. In verse 4, he says, "For he," meaning God the Father, "for he chose us in him." He chose us in him. You can't leave the "in him" out. "For he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he," meaning God the Father, "predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ, in accordance with his pleasure and his will." So what I want you to see there is you can't leave, and if you would read the rest of it, you would see in him, in him, in him over and over again. You can't leave out the "in him." So how did God choose you? How did God predestine you to be a follower of his, if that's who you are? Well, he did it in him. So he predestined, he selected, he chose, he elected Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is the umbrella. And so all of that happens in him. And if you're under his umbrella, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, then you also are brought into the family of God. But I just think that's a deep theological point. The election, the selection, the predestination that God the Father does, and obviously Paul he comes back to that theme over and over again, so we know that's a real thing. But all of that, it's not about God saying you're in, oh, no you're out, you're in, no you're out, not you either. No. The predestination, the election is he elected Jesus Christ, and when you're in Jesus, you also are part of that family of God that he has, that sonship, as Paul put it, that adoption into his family. It's a theological point that if you miss it, you'll go down a path that you might not want to go down, and some people do that, and they kind of get locked into that. Oh, am I part of the elect? No. It's Jesus who was elected. When you're in him, you are elect as well. All right, well, I hope you have a great week, great 4th of July holiday. We'll look forward to seeing you this weekend. Remember, one service only at 10:30 this weekend. We'll see you then. Take care. God bless.